let me tell you what the gospel isn't. The gospel is not your personal testimony. I think personal testimonies are a good thing, and we're called to testify to the greatness of Christ and what he's meant for us in our lives. It's a wonderful thing. But giving your personal testimony is pre-evangelism. It's not evangelism. Evangelism is proclaiming the gospel. And to say that God loves all people unconditionally is not the gospel. It's not even true. Or to say that God loves you and has a wonderful plan for your life, that's not the gospel. The gospel in the New Testament is the gospel about Jesus, his person, who he is, his work, what he has done. For many, many years, I've taught in the seminary and taught, among other courses on the gospel. And in order to work in the Doctor of Ministry program of seminaries, usually it's required that a person will have finished their basic seminary training and be ordained, be in the ministry for at least 5 years before they can enter into a Doctor of Ministry program. And when I teach on these questions, it would be my custom to stand in front of the room with the chalkboard and a piece of chalk in my hand with the first class of our students and say, let's start here, the ABCs. How many of you have been ordained to the gospel ministry? And they all raised their hand. I was okay. Let me write on the blackboard the definition of the gospel. What is the gospel? And these are usually conservative pastors, evangelical pastors. In my experience, it's anecdotal, not absolute, not scientific. Not 1 in 10 have been able to give an adequate definition of the gospel. They'll say, the gospel means that I can be forgiven of my sins. Yes, it does. The gospel means I can have a meaningful life. Yes, it does. But those are consequences and results of God. They're not the gospel. The gospel is a clearly defined message. If you want to see what it is, go to the sermons in the preaching of the book of Acts and notice and underscore the content of those sermons. And there you will discover what the gospel is. It's about Jesus, who was born according to the scriptures and who lived a sinless life and who died an atoning death on the cross, and for our righteousness God raised him from the dead and carried him in glory to heaven for his coronation as our king and for his installation as our great high priest who ministers for us every day and who will come again at the end of history to bring the fullness of his kingdom, which has begun already, but will not be completely manifested and consummated until his return.